guys, it's Lotus and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to continue on with our read-along of Urha. We have the final two fans translated chapters here, chapter 160 and 161. So I hope you guys enjoy the read-along. Let's jump right into it. Chapter 160. Shizun, do you still remember that voice-changing spell? Many of the surrounding guests showed contempt when they heard, their eyes flitting between Ye Wangxi, Nan Gongzi, and Song Chutong. Someone whispered, "What a scum!" Nan Gongzi isn't outraged by this? So Miss Song was forced. Sigh, it's not her fault. What can a mere girl like herself do in the face of two Gongzi currently in the limelight? Lost in his reenactment, the black-clad man forgot himself and got taken by surprise as Tianwen whipped towards him. Thankfully, he managed to dodge in time and avoid getting severely injured or entangled by the vine. However, his mantle still got torn and blood flew. He bit back a groan and no longer dared to let his guard down, becoming more diligent as he dodged Chuanning's willow vine. Nonetheless, he still continued to harangue Ye Wangxi relentlessly with his words. Ye Gongzi, Miss Song doesn't dare to admit to the incident from a few days ago, probably because she was worried it'd cause a rift between yourself and Nan Gongzi. However, heaven has eyes, and the impartial judge watches from above. Do you really not have a single shred of shame? Do you not plan on bowing your head in apology before the public? Ye Wangxi was furious, but at the same time found this ordeal ridiculous. I have committed no crimes. If you're innocent, does that mean Miss Song alone is guilty? Although she didn't retaliate afterwards, but the way I see it, it was only because you threatened force. Or are you going to say she provoked you of her own volition, and that you didn't force her? Just then, Nan Gongzi, who had remained quiet all this time, suddenly turned around. He lowered his head, looked Song Chutong in the eyes, and reached out to lift her to her feet. Yet Song Chutong thought he was reaching out to check on the chastity cinnabar on her wrist. She had discovered it missing when she'd woken up this morning, and had trembled with panic. But this issue was getting worse the more it was spoken of, and it couldn't be properly explained for the moment. She thought that since she would be consummating her marriage with Nan Gongzi soon, the cinnabar would vanish on its own anyway, so she wasn't planning on saying anything over the next 2 days, lest she create misunderstandings over nothing. Yet who would have thought someone would slander her like this? Having thought that she had indeed been saved by Ye Wangxi, that she had indeed once been Ye Wangxi's personal attendant, then remembering how her cinnabar had vanished and the red mole in her thigh had been clearly pointed out, there was nothing she could say to defend herself. Her mind buzzed with noise, and she didn't know what to do. Amidst the chaos, she raised her soft, watery eyes and gazed towards the crowd. She saw those people watching her in both contempt and pity as they whispered gossip among themselves. Then she saw Ye Wangxi standing there alone, stormy-faced as he was accused by thousands, spurned by all the guests. The black-clad man was still running all over the venue, Chu Zhongshi's willow vine in pursuit, and as he did, he exclaimed, "Ye Wangxi, you and I have a deep grudge, and today I will expose you. You're nothing but a hypocrite. You're committing adultery with a young madam, forcing yourself on a respectable girl. How vile!" Song Chutong was stricken, and almost immediately she understood what she had to do. It was impossible to clear her name at this point, but judging by the tone of the black-clad man, he seemed to have some profound grudge with Ye Wangxi and was trying to ruin his gentlemanly reputation at all costs. She could not bear the crime of adultery, but if she went with the accusations of that black-clad man and said she had been forced by Ye Wangxi, then at the very least, oh dear, Song Chutong, please do not. But of course she does. She yelled, practically hysterical, "He forced me!" Nan Gongzi's hand abruptly froze, and he stood there aghast, completely stupefied, watching her as if he couldn't believe his fiancée really had been dirtied by his father's left and right hand. Song Chutong covered her face and wept, her voice choking up as she said, "Yes, it was Ye Gongzi who violated me. He forced me. I never agreed." Nan Gongzi glared at her, the flickering candlelight reflected in his eyes. A moment later, he dropped the hands that he'd extended to Song Chutong, and when he spoke, his voice was hoarse, almost seeming to spark. "Do you know what you are saying?" Song Chutong grew even more nervous at his rage, and she wept. "Gongzi, I'm sorry. I was afraid Gongzi would not accept me, so I never dared say anything. I was even more afraid that once I told, it would ruin Gongzi and Ye Gongzi's relationship. He is such a trusted aide to the sect leader. If enmity starts between you, How would that benefit Rufeng's sect? She bowed down on the ground as she spoke, her long sleeves pulling around her. Her slender shoulders trembled incessantly, making her look pitiable and lamentable. Chu Tong really didn't know what to do, and I didn't dare turn to the sect leader for support, so I could only conceal the humiliation I have suffered. Gongzi, Chu Tong has wronged you, but my heart towards you is true. However, Nan Gongzi's face was ghastly pale, and he shook his head as he backed away, repeating as he did so, Do you know what you're saying? Song Chu Tong's long raven hair blanketed her sweet shoulders, shimmering in the candlelight like the finest silk, making her appear delicate and fragile. She wept. It's all Chu Tong's fault. I shouldn't have kept this from Gongzi, but I'm all alone in this world. Nan Gongzi shouted in outrage, abruptly cutting her off. Do you know what you are saying? Song Chu Tong shuddered violently at his shout and looked up, her exquisite hair and countenance glistening, her delicate and beautiful face streaked with tears, her lips quivering incessantly. You actually did such a thing? You actually dare? You're actually capable of such a thing? The guests unconsciously frowned and exchanged looks amongst themselves when they heard Nan Gongzi, and there were even those who couldn't help say, I've already heard men are venerated and women are degraded at a Rufeng sect, but I didn't realize when something like this happened, the one Nan Gongzi would blame would not be Ye Wangxi, but Miss Song, who suffered humiliation for no reason. Truly disheartening. Yeah, he really cannot distinguish the good and the bad. Chu Wanning had already withdrawn the willow vine when he heard Song Chu Tong admit it herself, and when he saw how Nan Gongzi reacted, he was also somewhat at a loss. In his memories, while Nan Gongzi was arrogant and willful at times, his character was righteous, and he was definitely not a man who lacked common sense. If the incident was true, then when looking for someone to blame, it would be Ye Wangxi and not Song Chu Tong. But from the looks of things, Nan Gongzi's rage was all directed at Song Chu Tong. How could that be? Yeah, Nan Gongzi, you can't just take her words at face value, you gotta see both sides of the picture. Also, Nan Gongzi has known Ye Wangxi for far longer than Song Chu Tong, so of course he would be apprehensive to believe her wholeheartedly. And also, Song Chu Tong is lying and throwing our poor Ye Wangxi under the bus. I knew I couldn't trust her. Among the guests, only Meihan Shui remained at ease at his seat, drinking as he watched the spectacle. If Xuemeng was here, he would notice how Meihan Shui was completely different from the one he had met earlier. Right now, the man certainly appeared to have the same dissolute roguishness he'd had at Peach Blossom Spring. His gaze was laced with sensuality, his gestures languid and suave. What's up with Meihan Shui? He keeps flip-flopping. Song Chu Tong was still tearing up as she made her weeping grievances, blaming Ye Wangxi for the entire unsightly business. Ye Wangxi seemed to have been shocked by her accusations and couldn't speak a single word, only staring blankly with wide eyes and a pounding heart as he watched this girl he'd bought from Xuanyuan Pavilion. If this Chu Tong who is weak, who didn't have the courage to end my life to sustain my innocence when Ye Gongzi made his advances, Chu Tong is but a wandering drifter, and all that I have is bestowed by Gongzi. Now that I admit my crimes, I will accept any punishment Gongzi deals. After Nan Gongzi listened to her weeping, he suddenly raised his head and closed his eyes. The candlelight that had once been lively and warm now shone with nothing but surges of black shadow. His lashes quivered, and he seemed to be suppressing something with all of his might. Both his hands were clenched into fists, nails digging into his flesh, and the jut of his throat bobbed as he rode out the raging storm of emotion within him. He restrained himself, the edges of his cheekbones standing out starkly, the veins of his forehead popping. He restrained himself, his bones shuddering violently as raging fire flowed in his blood, burning his heart. He restrained himself, but in the end, he still couldn't hold back, and he let out an enraged shout, pulling his sword out and cleaving the table in front of Song Chu Tong in half. Cups and ports were strewn about in disarray. Song Chu Tong, did you know? In all my life, what I absolutely hate, despise, cannot tolerate the most is lies! He shouted abruptly. Ye Wangxi! Young master, come over here, Ye Wangxi! ... He whipped his head around, his eyes bloodshot and damp. Come over here! Ye Wangxi walked over, and the spectators felt like Nan Gongzi's sword would aim right for Ye Wangxi's heart in the very next second, directly slashing open the guts of this phony beast, plucking his heart out and tossing it to the ground. They held their breaths and watched everything play out nervously. Nan Gongzi panted, stared at Ye Wangxi for a moment, and ordered with a hoarse voice, "You, remove the voice-changing spell." The voice-changing spell? The crowd was stunned and they looked at each other in dismay. What's this got to do with the voice-changing spell? Yeah, but it's so strange. What would Ye Wangxi need a voice-changing spell for? Was his original voice so terrifying that it scared others? Or is it that there's something unseemly with his original voice? Ye Wangxi only lowered his gaze, however. Young master, it cannot be removed now. Nan Gongsu was shocked, and he stared at him. What did you say? I've had the voice-changing spell cast on me since I was 13, and have used this voice for over a decade without taking it off. The voice-changing spell has already seeped deeply into my spiritual core. Ye Wangxi paused for a moment, then continued calmly. My original voice can never be recovered. ... Nan Gongsu stumbled back, greatly shaken. After a moment, he looked up to the man sitting high above, watching everything with an indiscernible expression. He asked, voice very quiet, "Father?" Nan Gongliu finally spoke. "Sir, this is truly a regrettable affair, but the voice changing was indeed done of Ye Wangxi's own will. For it to have reached this point was also unexpected, but there is no need for you to think too deeply." But Nan Gongliu descended from the high platform and stood behind the thicket of guards with his hands folded behind his back. "I know you and Ye Wangxi are childhood friends, and that you feel grateful for his loyalty all these years. However, every case is its own matter. He committed adultery with Song Chutong, disregarded morals, deceived and offended his master, and that is punishable by death." How dare you! Nan Gongliu, I knew you were scum, but wow, you really take the cake for terrible father and worst sect leader of all time. I would have to even say that you're probably worse than Ta Xianjun. Of course, that's very subjective, but at least Ta Xianjun protected his own, you know? Nan Gongliu turned tail and ran the moment Rufeng sect got invaded, so I have no respect for Nan Gongliu. Now he's gonna try to kill and he's gonna try to sentence Ye Wangxi to death because of a rumor that they haven't proved? Nan Gongsu had never imagined Nan Gongliu would say such a thing, and he was dumbstruck. "Father!" Nan Gongliu waved his hand, and a blue light flashed past, shrouding Nan Gongsu within a binding barrier. Nan Gongsu was taken aback at first, but he soon started yelling and thrashing furiously. However, that barrier was the barrier of discipline passed down through the generations of Rufeng sect. Since there had been some incidents of patricide in the name of conspiring for the sect leader's seat, the sons of sect leaders would sign blood pacts with their fathers at a young age. This barrier was used specifically for fathers to detain their sons, and would last for a good hour. No matter how strong Nan Gongsu's might was, he was powerless to break free. And the things he yelled within the barrier were also sealed, unable to be heard by the outside world. At this point, admitting Ye Wangxi and Song Chutong's affair was better than revealing more of Rufeng sect's secrets. Nan Gongliu came before the black-clad man and cupped his hands in respect. "Although I do not know what grudges Mr. has with Ye Wangxi, but I am much indebted to your guidance, otherwise disgrace would truly befall my family." The black-clad man replied with a simper. "You're welcome, sect leader Nan Gong." "Guards, arrest Ye Wangxi this instant! Take him to..." Hold on. The sudden word from the black-clad man made Nan Gongliu uneasy, but he still smiled unflinchingly. "Does Mr. have any other guidance?" "I was thinking, your son only said a couple things about the voice-changing spell, so why are you in a rush to send Ye Gongzi to jail, sect leader Xianjun?" This is the private affair of the Rufeng sect. It is inconvenient to speak of it in detail." The black-clad man laughed. "For the sake of Rufeng sect's reputation, sect leader Xianjun certainly knows very well what it means to abandon the pawn to save the knight. Pitiful is Miss Ye indeed, who went through fire and hell for over a decade for your sect, only to be sacrificed to take the fall for the sake of protecting your family's honor." Miss Ye? Miss Ye? Oh dear, oh, the plot thickens. Ye Wangxi is not a mister, but a miss. And she was using a voice changer spell. Ooh. Is that why Nan Gongsu was always really mad at Ye Wangxi? Because Ye Wangxi was hiding her identity and had changed her voice and tried to pass herself off as a man? Is that why Nan Gongsu was mad? Because she lied to him? With that, though everyone else was wrapping their heads around the statement, Nan Gongliu's face instantly dropped. Uh-oh, he's been caught red-handed. At the seats below, Mei Han Shui smiled, poured himself another pot of wine, took a sip, then set it back down. Nan Gongliu's face appeared somewhat wan and sallow under the candlelight. A good moment later, he asked, forcing a smile, "What, Mr. Yu?" The black-clad man's eyes blazed, and his voice was loud and clear, reverberating within the great hall as he enunciated every syllable, and each word was shocking to the core. Ye Wangxi was never a man. End of chapter 160. So guys, we got a big revelation in this chapter. So, everyone is gossiping about Ye Wangxi and Song Chutong, and Song Chutong knows that her cinnabar mark had disappeared, but she doesn't know why. But in order to save herself, she throws Ye Wangxi under the bus, agreeing with the black-clad man that she had indeed been forced by Ye Wangxi into having an explicit affair. So Ye Wangxi is standing there flabbergasted because she cannot believe that Song Chutong would agree with these accusations. And then Nan Gongsi gets really pissed off because he knows about Ye Wangxi's secret. That's probably also why he's been really cold toward Ye Wangxi, because Ye Wangxi had hidden this from him in the past, and then when Nan Gongsi found out, he probably got really mad. But Nan Gongsi got really mad at Song Chutong, and everyone's surprised because they would think that he would defend his fiancée, but no. Nan Gongsi is super mad at Song Chutong because he knows for a fact now that Song Chutong is 100% lying. Because he knows that Ye Wangxi is a girl and Ye Wangxi is a girl and does not like other girls. So he knows that it would be impossible for Ye Wangxi to have an affair with Song Chutong. So now he's turning against Song Chutong, saying, "You're lying to me. Why are you lying to me? Why?" And then his father steps in, and his father's like, yeah, Song Chutong, I totally believe you. Ye Wangxi, you are being arrested and will be beheaded for having forced yourself upon my son's fiancée." So Nan Gongsi is panicking and cannot believe that his father is doing this. His father is keeping this secret. Nan Gongliu is being a dirtbag because he wants to hide the fact that he had hidden Ye Wangxi's identity. I don't know why he would do that, but he feels embarrassed to admit it, so he'd rather kill Ye Wangxi than to admit the truth. And then the black-clad man, who also seems to know Ye Wangxi's true identity, is like, hold on a sec. You know what? I have some grievances against Ye Wangxi, but I also feel really bad for her because she gave up 13 years of her life, with the voice changer to serve you, and now you're just gonna throw her under the bus and kill her because you would rather hide your dirty secrets? Doesn't seem really noble of you, Mr. Nan Gongliu. And so everyone in the hall has heard this, and now everyone's trying to figure out what's going on. Ye Wangxi is not a man? He didn't have an affair with Song Chutong? What's going on? Okay, let's read the final chapter of the fan translation. Chapter 161. Shizun, let me take you flying. Ye Wangxi was never a man. ... After some silence, the crowd burst into a commotion. The guests in the great hall all blanched, and all pairs of eyes turned to Ye Wangxi. Ye Wangxi's head hung low, eyes closed and not saying a word. Not a man? This handsome, outstanding young man was actually a girl? The proclamation was like flinging a drop of water into a sizzling pan. In a split second, it triggered seething, scalding waves. Someone drew in a sharp breath, and the buzzing talk immediately blew up, like splashing hot oil crackling in a pot. Ye Wangxi is a woman? My heavens, how could this be? No wonder Nan Gongsi didn't falter earlier. He already knew. Then Song Chutong, just now. So everything she said was to frame another, entirely to protect herself. That's too malicious. If you didn't do it, then you didn't do it. Why accuse someone else just to clear your name? I still can't believe it though. How is Ye Wangxi a woman? He doesn't look it at all. Nan Gongliu's eyes gleamed with a frigid light, and he glared at the exposed ink-dark eyes of the black-clad man. Do not speak so irresponsibly, mister. Where's your proof? If you don't have a guilty conscience, then release Nan Gongsi, the black-clad man said. Fortunately, while your son might be wild in character, he is still an upstanding gentleman, not cruel and heartless like you. ... A sheen of greasy sweat began to form on Nan Gongliu's face, though he remained unspeaking, standing there with clenched fists. Seeing this, the black-clad man said coldly, "Go on, then. Release him." Nangong Liu shook his sleeves out. It is not yet Mister's turn to tell me how I should discipline my unfilial son and forcefully interfere. However, once he said that, though it was not confirmation of what the black-clad man had said, it became clear as a mirror to everyone here. Those who hadn't believed the black-clad man at first couldn't help but waver too, examining Ye Wangshi's handsome face anew in an attempt to spot any trace of her womanhood. Just then, someone from the crowd suddenly spoke up, his voice loud and clear. "Sect leader Nangong, you are the one at fault here." Everyone looked back, and Mei Hanshui stood there, grinning among the field of flickering candlelights, draped in his fox fur, elegant and stately. Miss Ye may be threateningly heroic, but she is a woman through and through. As a man, Sect leader Xianjun should know to cherish beauty. Furthermore, as an elder, you should be generous and kind. How could you bully such a girl for the sake of saving Rufeng Sect's dignity? He slowly approached the front of the hall as he spoke, then smiled. This is audacious of this little nephew, but I have had the affinity to meet Miss Ye once at Peach Blossom Springs. At the time, I already found her to be valiant and heroic in bearing, different from the usual meek and quiet. I admired her, but was unfortunately clumsy with words and offended Miss Ye instead in our exchange, causing a quarrel because of her distaste for me. After I received guidance from Miss Ye's expert skills, I couldn't help but marvel that Rufeng Sect was indeed prolific in heroes, with their female cultivators equally exceptional, and I even applauded Miss Ye's teacher. Yet seeing Sect Leader Xianjun's actions today, I now feel that the glorious Rufeng Sect does not deserve such a beauty of unyielding character. You said it, Mei Hanshui. You may be a player, but you know when to stick up for women. Your conundrum, really. Mei Xianjun, you and Ye Wangxi have only met once, so it's perfectly normal to be mistaken. Nangong Liu's face was grim, yet his lips still bit down tightly on his lip. Nangong Liu's face was grim, yet his lips still bit down tightly on his smile as he said, "On account of your Tashui Palace of Kunlun, I will not argue with you, so don't make any more misjudgments." Somewhere in the middle of his words, the calm and composure he had before seemed to have been lost. The black-clad man snickered. Mei Gongzi's reputation for promiscuity is known far and wide. If he can't tell if someone is a man or a woman, then I'm afraid no one else in the world can. When Nangong Liu heard this, his flames of fury burned even higher, and he replied rigidly, Mr. was making dodged accusations that Ye Wangxi violated Song Chu Tong earlier. Yet now you turn around to claim Ye Wangxi is a woman? Confounding the facts thus, you are simply trying to upset the justice of the Rufeng Sect and ruin our name. How else could I show Miss Song's true nature to Nangong Gongzi if not by taking such vulgar measures? The black-clad man said. Marrying the wrong person will leave him disgusted for the rest of his life. But you clearly spoke with reason and proof earlier. Besides, if Ye Wangxi was a woman, how did the cinnabar on Song Chu Tong's wrist disappear? Why are you asking me? Ask her yourself. The black-clad man sneered. Besides, from high to low, there are at least thousands of male disciples at Rufeng Sect, so if Sect Leader Xianjun has the time, you can interrogate them one by one as well. I'm sure you can find a satisfactory answer. This affair concerned the reputation of Rufeng Sect, so everyone was silent, not a soul daring to speak. However, the disdain and curiosity in their eyes could not be concealed, and Nangong Liu felt prickles down his back under their stares. He stood there for a moment, then suddenly turned his head and shouted at Ye Wangxi, You, come over here! ... Tell us yourself, has Miss Song wronged you or not? Nangong Liu stared squarely at Ye Wangxi. He was betting that he still had an important bargaining chip in his grasp. He knew Ye Wangxi was deeply in love with his son, and so she could not wish for Rufeng Sect's reputation to be crushed. Tell everyone what your real identity is. Ye Wangxi had always been very obedient. Since young, she had always been the most amenable chess piece on his board. What scum! Nangong Liu is really scum. In fact, he even remembered distinctly the year when Ye Wangxi, at the age of 13, heeded the order and came to the magnificent Great Hall of Rufeng Sect. The doors to the hall had been tightly barred, and there had only been the two of them there. He'd sat upon the frozen magnificent throne and looked down below. The 13-year-old girl had yet to reach her growth spurt, and she had been dressed in a little green turquoise jacket, with ribbons tied around her braids and a small silver bracelet on her wrist. He said to her with a smile, Wang Shi, I'm sure you already know why I have called you here today. Ye Wang Shi had knelt down and prostrated.
Yes, Junju.
Your Yifu was gravely injured on numerous occasions. His body is damaged and no longer fit to be the chief of the Shadow Guards. You are his adopted daughter as well as Si-er's childhood friend. I don't trust anyone else, but I trust you. Ye Wangxi had not risen, had stayed quietly prostrated on the floor, exposing the slender neck beneath her hair like a lamb ready for slaughter. You are immensely talented with such a promising future, Nan Gongliu said. I intend on training you to become the Shadow Guard chief of Rufeng sect and to command one of the 72 cities in the future. That way, not only will you be able to share in your Yifu's burdens, you can also become Si-er's right and left hands. He will be on the light and you in the dark from then onwards, and together you will carry Rufeng sect onwards to 100 years of glory. He paused briefly. However, it's fine if you are unwilling. Your Yifu can more or less hang on for a while longer, and I'll see if I can find another suitable candidate. I'm aware of how great the sacrifices will be for you, so there is no need to force yourself. Wow, this guy really is a piece of work. He is low-key, he's high-key blackmailing poor little 13-year-old Ye Wangxi to join the Shadow Guard and throw away her identity and become a man in order to become the chief of the Shadow Guard because her father is sick. And Nan Gongliu is hanging this over her head. Like, what is she supposed to do? Of course she cares about her adopted father so much. Of course she would do whatever she can to make sure that he's okay and that he won't die. Of course she wouldn't want that to happen. And he's exploiting this poor little kid. This is child abuse, guys. Nan Gongliu is a child abuser. I said it right here and I stand by this. Once Nan Gongliu had finished, he'd adjusted his position upon the high seat and had waited calmly. This girl had neither parents nor support to fall back on. He knew he had her and was only waiting for her to nod. At last, Ye Wangxi strained her back and quietly gazed at him. For a second, Nan Gongliu had shuddered, feeling as though this girl had seen through all of his calculations and false smiles. However, in the next second, Ye Wangxi had then said, Yifu gave me life. To repay his kindness, there's nothing I am unwilling to do. Nan Gongliu had been quiet for a moment, then he sighed. This will truly be asking a lot of you. Ye Wangxi had then replied, serene and impassive, It is I who should thank Junju for this opportunity. Nan Gongliu had then changed the subject. However, Rufeng sect has always been men first, women second. Women, right? They've always been weak and powerless, tending to be nothing but soft-hearted. In this world, only a man can demand obedience, deserving to be chief of a city. Wangxi, you are smart. I'm sure you know what to do. Yo! Not only is he a child abuser, Nan Gongliu is also a sexist. What other bad things has this Nan Gongliu done? He is terrible, a scum of the earth, a terrible human being. Man, someone has to get rid of him, okay? Black-clad man, you may be the fake Gochen, but if you need to use anyone for your cauldron, you can use Nan Gongliu. You have my blessing, okay? Take him away. He does not deserve to be the leader of the top upper cultivation sect, okay? Literally anyone, literally anyone else that we've read about in the story would be a better sect leader than Nan Gongliu, okay? I hope that he crashes and burns very soon in the future. Poor Ye Wangxi, she's been through so much. He knew that she loved his son, and he knew that she loved her father, and he used that to exploit her and use it against her. Now, what kind of sect leader is that? That is terrible. Ye Wangxi had been silent for a moment. Then, before Nan Gongliu, her expression remaining as icy as ever, she'd removed the bracelet on her wrist and the ribbons in her braids, then stripped herself of the outer jacket, leaving only the pure white inner robes. After having done so, she'd unbraided her hair, changing the style to that of a ponytail, fastened upright. Sunlight shone in, bathing over her, and her back was straight, her expression determined. Although she was still in the body of a child, her aura had already become that of an unyielding pine. Very good. To make sure his plan was flawless, Nan Gongliu reminded her, You will dress like this in the future, but do not forget about your voice. Ye Wangxi had lowered her eyes. She had already noticed when she first entered that there had been a pair of golden scissors placed in front of her mat. She'd picked up those scissors and resolutely slashed her throat. Blood dripped. Perished be the bygone voice, never to return. She'd slowly bit out the incantation that then closed her eyes, dropping the scissors onto the ground before her. The scissors were spotted with blood, and Nangong Liu had stared at it for a while before speaking up. Good, very good. From now on, you are Shadow City chief successor, Ye Gongzi Rufeng sect. I will tell even Si'er to yield a little to you. Ye Wangxi had opened her mouth, and the voice that emerged was already different, that of a young man. I beseech Junju to never have Yifu enter danger alone from now onwards. I am willing to share in his burdens. This was why Nangong Liu knew much too well of Ye Wangxi's character. In the past 10 years, she had been flawless, learning all there was to know of a man's demeanor. When she'd gone through her pubescent growth spurt, she'd taken daily medication, enduring the pain it brought, and developed into her present appearance, that of a man. In his eyes, she was a dog that Rufeng sect had raised, and would never betray him in order to repay his kindness. 10 years ago, she'd slashed her throat and spilled her own blood, changing her voice forever. Today, she would not disappoint him either. He bet that Ye Wangxi would help him. As long as Ye Wangxi personally declared, "I am not a woman," then there was nothing the others could do, even if they didn't believe it. The black-clad man obviously thought the same, and he moved forward to stand in front of Ye Wangxi, raising his hand to block her way. Nangong Liu, Miss Ye has already exhausted her everything for your Rufeng sect, offering all of her youth, and now you want to sacrifice the rest of her life simply because you failed at sophistry? Nangong Liu was just about to rebuke him when suddenly, in the distant night sky, a flicker of orange-red light climbed into the air and violently exploded. Another person had caught a spirit deer. However, in the face of Rufeng sect's secret, it no longer mattered who had killed the deer, nor was there anyone who cared who'd won second. Everyone's eyes were still firmly locked onto the center of the great hall, where the tables and chairs lay toppled, the divan table split in half, where the mysterious black-clad master stood between Nangong Liu and Ye Wangxi, and the knight's groom was trapped in a barrier erected by his own father, while the bride knelt on the floor, tear-streaked and choking with sobs. Everything was much too unexpected, from the accusations of an affair to the falling out between the betrothed couple, to womanhood, and now the Rufeng sect leader refusing to admit his doings. This spectacle was probably become the gossip in tea houses and taverns for the next several years to come. Who in the world would care for those 3 pitiful deer? Thus, no one noticed a dark red gash slowly ripping in the sky above the forest until the sound of firecrackers suddenly died to the tremors of the earth, the birds in the woods taking flight in alarm, gawking as they vanished into the black night. No one noticed until 20 signal flares cracked at once, lighting the profound night into a hellish sea of blood. Only then did the crowd in Shile Hall jolt, sensing something amiss, and they rushed to the guardrail to see. What's going on? Why did everyone's flares go off at the same time? Look, up in the sky! What's that? The Heavenly Rift! It's the Heavenly Rift! For an instant, the hall fell into a dead silence. Then, cries of alarm and screams erupted. The Heavenly Rift of the Ghost Realm! Why would the Heavenly Rift of the Ghost Realm appear in the upper cultivation world? Above the hunting grounds! Sishong! My Sishong is still there! Jie! The people crowded together en masse, like fish in a pond where panic and shock were like bait had been thrown into the water, triggering fervent ripples. They didn't have any time to care for any sex scandals or Jianghu secrets now. Nangong Liu, probably trying to redeem his pride, shouted with an amplified voice, "Everyone, please remain calm. It is only a mere heavenly rift of the ghost realm. As you are in Rufeng sect, I will never allow any harm to come to my guests. The 5 class guards of Rufeng sect come with me this instant to investigate the forest. The rest of the elders and disciples will guard Shile Tower and ensure the safety of the guests." He then hastily led the 5 troops away towards the Shaoyue track field on mounted swords, almost as if fleeing the black-clad man's interrogation and completely deserting this mess of a wedding reception without a single desire to clean up. Why would this happen out of nowhere? Yeah, the Heavenly Rift of the Ghost Realm had never appeared in the upper cultivation world, so what's going on? Upon the resplendent tower, the people were anxious. Those cultivators of the upper cultivation world had led prestigious, comfortable lives, so in the face of the sudden Heavenly Rift, their fear actually overrode their sense of duty. It was fine if they were tasked to slaughter great lone demons, but the Heavenly Rift was a completely different matter. If what was cracked was the upper level of hell, then it'd be regular ghosts and monsters that would emerge, which would be fine. However, if what was torn was infinite hell, like the startling event that had taken place at Kaidea Town 5 years ago, they shuddered. When they remembered how even a Zhongshu of Chuaning's level had perished in that horrid battle, the sense of insecurity spread in spite of themselves, and they squeezed together by the vermilion railings, watching the scarlet-red fissure in the distant sky. Chuaning rose up and turned to Shui Zhengyang. Junju, the color of that rift isn't right. Once the crack is torn open, it might very possibly be the bottom levels of hell. I worry for Shui Meng and the others, so I will go take a look too. His moon-white extravagant robe swept the ground and floated up as he walked right to the railings, and under amazed stares and astonished looks, he used his qinggong and leapt to the verdant eaves of the next building, speedily taking off. Yu Hong! Shui Zhengyang wanted to stop him, but Chuaning had already vanished into the deep dark night. He cursed under his breath, wanting to jump up and follow after him, but his shoulder was caught. When he looked back, he was met with a bronze mask cracked with a smile. That black-clad man patted his shoulder and said in a low voice, Uncle, stay here and protect Auntie. I will go with Shizun. Don't you worry. What? He referred to Shui Zhengyang as uncle, and Madame Wang as auntie, and he calls Chuaning Shizun. Shui Zhengyang was stunned. Wait, what? Wait, what? Wait, I was completely wrong? Okay. Shui Zhengyang was stunned. Run! The black-clad man raised his hand and pressed it gently against his lips, shaking his head. ... Shui Zhengyang had never imagined that the black-clad man would be Moran, but Moran didn't wait for him to ask before he pushed off the railings with a single hand, leaping into the darkness like a falcon. His mantle flowed, billowing like ink, and it didn't take a second before he vanished behind the same dome as Chuaning. Oh my gosh, I was wrong, guys. I am so sorry. I misled you all. The black-clad man was not the fake Gochen. I thought it was the fake Gochen. The black-clad man was Moran in disguise, which actually makes a lot more sense because Moran promised himself that he would stop the wedding between Song Shutong and Nan Gongsun, that he was going to expose Song Shutong for who she really was. So it was, and I knew since Moran is reborn, he knows Ye Wangshi's true identity. He knew that she was actually a woman. So that's how he planned to help Ye Wangshi. First he accused Ye Wangshi and then he turned it around and protected Ye Wangshi. I mean, Moran, it could have really gone the opposite way. But you know what? Okay, good for you, Moran. Good quick thinking, because if not, they would have really gotten married and Ye Wangshi would have been sad and pitiful for the rest of her life. Okay, let's continue. Shizun! Moran ran using his qinggong from let me say that again. Shizun! Moran ran using his qinggong about half the way, but annoyed it was too slow, he summoned a sword he had formed a pact with and quickly caught up to Chuaning once he was mounted. He raised his hand and lifted his mask, and once that savage bronze was pushed up to his forehead, his peerlessly handsome face was revealed. Wait for me! Chuaning's eyes instantly widened. It's you? Come up, I'll take Shizun over on the sword, and I'll tell Shizun everything in detail on the way. Chuaning caught the hand he extended and sprung up, landing steadily on the sword. He then wanted to let go of Moran, but that large, rough hand clasped his hand all the tighter. Moran was standing right behind him, and when he spoke, the hot breath that was uniquely his brushed by the back of Chuaning's ear. In the rush of the frozen night, that air grew conspicuously heated. This sword's momentum is too fierce. If it flies fast, so hang on tight, Shizun, Moran said. The two rode the winds on the sword, and Chuaning asked, was everything back at the Great Hall all part of your plan? I heard plenty of things about Song Shutong while I wandered the Jianghu all these years, Moran replied. Although she isn't someone who has the guts to commit any great crimes like slaughtering cities, she is nonetheless someone who is fully capable of hitting someone when they're down. If she really does marry Nan Gongsun and become the future young madam of Rufeng's sect, then this sect might probably become even more abominable than they currently are. However, Chuaning said, Rufeng's sect cannot become any worse than they are now. After he said so, his brows knitted, and as he glanced over Moran's black mantle, a vague doubt surfaced in his mind. Speaking of which, why do you know Ye Wangshi is a girl? And that's the end of the chapter. That's the end of chapter 161. It leaves us off at a cliffhanger. So, we're not gonna know. Unfortunately, we're not gonna know how Moran knew that Ye Wangshi was a girl. But we know that he eventually did find out because he fought her in his past life. So somehow, probably during their fighting and their battles, he found out that Ye Wangshi was a female. So, yeah. But I'm pretty sure Moran has a lot of ways that he can, you know, slide out of the situation, because they did all study and train with Wangshi at the Peach Blossom Springs. So he could say that he accidentally overheard or witnessed Wangshi bathing or something, you know, something like that. But if he said that, he might get slapped across the face by Chuaning too, so maybe he shouldn't say that either. Well, what can we say, guys? That was the last chapter of the fan translation. Thank you so much to Rynn and Suika for all their work in translating the Erha novel for us readers. As you can see here, Erha is now licensed by Seven Seas Entertainment, Seven Seas Danmei. Meatbun is also on Twitter and Instagram, so you can follow her there if you want to check out any updates she has on her current novel and just her random postings. Like it says here, the fans translation will no longer be updated and will be removed on March 31st at 12 p.m. and the mini theaters will be preserved. So I guess if you come back here, you'll still be able to read the mini theaters, which is nice, but the chapters will no longer be up. So I want to just recap chapter 161. Yeah, so Nangong Liu is trying to do damage control, and he is denying that Wangshi is a woman, and he believes that Wangshi will definitely side with him because he has some blackmail over her head. He is using her sickly poor Yifu and her love for Nangongse to make her be submissive to him. And he put her through so much. At the small age of 13, she cut her own throat and changed her voice and threw away her old life in order to become the shadow guard of her dad's replacement. So Wangshi is such a pitiful character, and she deserves all the happiness. And I hope that after this is all revealed, that she and Nangongse finally gets to reconcile. At least Nangongse and Song Chutang will no longer be getting married. That's a plus. So, you know, gotta clap to that. But I hope that Nangongse and Wangshi rekindle the relationship, even if they don't end up as a couple, which, you know, that is the ultimate desire, the ultimate goal of us readers. At least I want Nangongse and Wangshi to be friends again. Yeah. But yeah, so before they can finish really with the confrontation, a new heavenly rift opens right above Rufeng sect, and so Nangong Liu takes that opportunity to turn tail and run again, and so he exits the scene, and Chuaning goes to help deal with it as well. And then the black-clad man reveals himself to not be Gochen, the fake Gochen, but to be Moran in disguise, which I'm sorry for misleading you all, because I was so sure that it was the fake Gochen, because I was thinking that, oh, the fake Gochen knows information because he's also from the past, right? So it must be the fake Gochen. But then the black-clad man referred to Shui Zhenyang as uncle and referred to Chuaning as Shizun, and then he took his mask off and, like, lo and behold, it's Mo Weiyu. So Moran was the one that was trying to halt the wedding. So again, round of applause for him too. Props to Moran for thinking on his feet. So yeah, Moran reveals himself to Chuaning, and he's like, Shizun, it was me. I did it because Song Chutang cannot be trusted. So yeah, now they're not gonna get married, and Rufeng sect can become even worse than they already are. So that is the end of chapter 161, and that is the final chapter of the fan translation. I hope you guys enjoyed today's read-along. I'm feeling a little emotional, guys, because it's been such a long journey from the first time I started reading the chapter up until now. It's been several months, and you know, we've gained a lot of readers, so I'm so glad that you've joined me on my journey of reading Erha. And please do look out for other Danmeis I'll be reading in the future. I will be resuming my Dunhoon read-along soon, and so please do look out for that. We're going to continue on with our fun little story with Shenwei and Zhao Yunlan. So if you are interested in following my read-along with that novel, please join us as well. But yeah, before I end this video, I just want to show you the website. This is 7seasdanmei.com. I have a link to this website in the description. This is where you can read up on the licensed version of the novel. So here you can see the Husky and his White Cat Shizun, Volume 1. It will be the pre-order. It's open for pre-order right now, and it will be released in October. So if you can, please do support the official English release. And here you can see all the places that you can pre-order the book from. So you can get it from Amazon or Barnes & Noble's, Book Depository, Books A Million, Indigo, Right Stuff, all that fun stuff. And even at your local bookstore. I know that Seven Seas Entertainment does carry their books at local bookstores sometimes as well. So yeah, please do go and support Meatbun, support Erha, support Shizun and Moran. And thank you so much. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for joining me on this read-along. Thank you so much for, you know, leaving all your comments and likes and thoughts. And I just love reading all of your comments. I really appreciate it. I hope to see you again in my other read-alongs. But yeah, until next time, guys, thank you for watching. Bye-bye!